Also,
Okay. I'd like to call the Town of Thompson Special Town Meeting to order, November 24th, 2020. It is now 7:02 PM, and we'll begin with a reading of the legal notice by Linda Paradise, our Assistant Town Clerk.
A special town meeting of the electors and citizens qualified to vote in the town meetings of the Town of Thompson, Connecticut, will be held at the Thompson Public Schools Auditorium, 785 Riverside Drive in North Groenendale, Connecticut, on Tuesday, November 24th, 2020, at 7 p.m., for the purposes stated below. Persons can also participate virtually by video using Zoom. Participation by telephone is not available because voter qualification cannot be reliably confirmed unless visually identifiable by being in person or on video. Video cannot be muted for a voter to qualify to vote. The purpose of the meeting will be: 1, to choose a moderator for the meeting. 2, to consider and act upon the following resolution. A, to authorize the issue bonds or notes of the town in an amount not to exceed $4,700,000 to finance the appropriation for the roof replacement project at Thompson Public Schools building, passed at town meeting held January 8th, 2020, and referendum held January 15th, 2020. To provide that the amount of bonds or notes authorized to be issued shall be reduced by any grants received for the project. To authorize the issue temporary notes of the town in an amount not to exceed $4,700,000 in anticipation of such bonds or notes and grants, and to authorize a majority of the Board of Selectmen and the Treasurer of the town to determine the amounts, dates, interest rates, maturities, redemption provisions, forms, and other details of the bonds or notes, and to perform all other acts which are necessary or appropriate to issue the bonds or notes. B, to take such action to allow temporary advances of available funds, which the town reasonably expects will be reimbursed from the proceeds of borrowings, and to authorize a majority of the Board of Selectmen and the Treasurer to bind the town pursuant to such representations and covenants as they deem necessary or advisable, in order to maintain the continued exemption from federal income taxation of interest on the bonds, notes, or temporary notes authorized by the resolution, if issued on a tax-exempt basis, including covenants to pay rebates of investment earnings to the United States in future years, and to make representations and enter into written agreements for the benefit of holders of the bonds or notes to provide secondary market disclosure information, which agreements may include such terms as they deem advisable or appropriate in order to comply with applicable laws or rules pertaining to the sale or purchase of such bonds, notes, or temporary notes. C, to authorize the first selectman, the Board of Education, and other proper officers and officials of the town to apply for and accept federal and state grants to help finance the appropriation for the roof replacement project. Any grant proceeds may be used to pay project costs or principal and interest on bonds, notes, or temporary notes. And D, to authorize the Board of Selectmen, the Board of Education, the First Selectman, the Treasurer, and other proper officers and officials of the town to take all other action which is necessary or desirable to construct and complete the roof replacement project, to issue bonds, notes, or temporary notes, and to obtain grants to finance the appropriation for the project. 3, to consider and act upon the following resolution: to acquire from River Junction Estates, LLC, 2 parcels of land located on Aquatic Town Farm Road, proposed to be deeded to the town to enable future improvements to that road. 4, to consider and act upon the following resolution. A, to adopt amended ordinance number 10-021, garbage, rubbish, refuge, and recycling ordinance. And B, to adopt amended ordinance number 10-048, veterans tax exemption. And C, to adopt amended ordinance number 10-053, driveway ordinance. 5, to consider and act upon the following resolution: to approve a supplemental appropriation in the amount of $200,000 as recommended by the Board of Selectmen and the Thompson Board of Finance, to fund the defense and/or settlement of pending litigation in the matter of CB Utility Company Incorporated versus Town of Thompson, currently pending in the complex litigation docket of the Superior Court, Hartford, Connecticut, dated at Thompson, Connecticut, this 4th day of November, 2020.
Thank you, Linda. And before we move on, I just want to let the virtual audience know that at any time you will be able to ask questions. If you do so, please state your name and your address before speaking. And during the motions, you will actually receive a question that you will be able to answer. It's going to be a polling question that's sent out to you virtually, and you'll be able to answer yes or no, and we will tally those votes since you are not here in person. So just to let you know that that is the protocol. So at this time, I would entertain a motion to choose a moderator for this meeting.
John Rice, 39 East Thompson Road. I'd like to nominate Frank McGarry.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor from John Rice to nominate Frank McGarry for moderator for tonight's meeting. Do I have a second? We have Bill Witkowski in the audience. He is going to second that motion. All in favor? And here is your question you'll see on virtual. All in favor right here at the audience live, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, there is none opposed. All in the live audience are in favor of Frank McGarry, and 100% of our virtual audience approves Frank McGarry. Frank McGarry, you can take it over. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mrs. St. Ange. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. Well, speaking of names, I think there are some names that may not be familiar with our audience, and I'd like to acknowledge them at this time. We have two students from Turlock Memorial High School who have arranged this entire electronic hookup, Tracy Bachand and Bryce Pratt. Beautiful job, beautiful job. Very, very proud of you. Also, one of the names on the Zoom screen you may not be familiar with, and that's Ken Slater. That's attorney Kenneth R. Slater from the Halloran and Sage Law Firm in Hartford. Attorney Slater advises us on municipal legal matters. He's a graduate of the UConn School of Law, and he's been named one of New England's top attorneys by Connecticut Magazine. So if we have any questions from the audience on a legal matter, Attorney Slater is on. He'll be able to advise us. All right, moving along. Item 2. We have a motion to adopt item 2 as amendments. State your name and your address, please, sir.
Randy Moran, 130 Pompeo Road.
Motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
Can you name off who just made the motion so the virtual audience will hear?
Yeah, that's Rini Moran. What's your address, Rini?
130 Pompeo Road.
Pompeo Road. Do we have a second on the motion? Mr. William Witkowski seconds the motion. He resides on Clarence Drive. Is there any discussion on the motion? You ready to vote? Beg your pardon? I thought someone said something from the audience. Okay, we're ready to vote. All those in favor of this motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed signify by saying no. The opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. The motion is carried.
Oh, wait.
Wait,
I think we have to wait for the virtual polling.
I see.
That was question 2. There we go.
We're waiting for the Zoom audience to vote.
Currently, wait, oh.
Are the votes in?
Almost. All
Votes
the
are
votes are
in,
in.
and the Zoom audience votes 79% in favor, 21% opposed, and the motion is declared carried. Moving on to item 3. To acquire from River Junction Estates 2 parcels of land on Quadic Town Farm Road. Do we have a motion to that effect?
Somebody.
Mr. Witkowski, you have a motion? William Witkowski moves the question. He resides on Clarence Drive. Do we have a second?
John Rice, 39 East Thompson Road. I second the motion.
Very good. Do we have any discussion on this motion? Hearing none, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed signify by saying no. And shall we have the voting by Zoom audience?
Yep. They're voting.
Are the votes in? Votes are in, and the vote is 60% in favor and 40% opposed, and the chair declares this motion carried. Item 4, consider and act upon ordinance amendments. Do we have a motion to accept this item? Mr. Jason St. Ange of Riverside Drive makes the motion. Do we have a second? Second by Sean Brissett of Whittemore Avenue. Have any discussion on this motion? Mr. Moran.
Randy Morton, 130 Pompeo Road. On section 3 of the proposed ordinance, I had discussed with the first selectman and the highway director a couple of days ago with regard to a sentence that had some missing words in it. Section 3, where it says a temporary permit shall be valid for not more than 1 day, and said permit shall be in the formal letter from the tax collector's office, that is the tax collector's office, and at the transfer station. They could get that 1-day permit, not only in my office, but also at the transfer station, and that was with the approval of the highway foreman. And that's the way it's been for the last couple of years. They just, the ordinance committee just missed putting in "and" at the transfer station.
Does that affect the validity of this motion?
I would believe that we could make, if Rainey made a motion to amend, we could move forward with the vote with the amendment, correct?
That's what I was doing, to keep it consistent with the way it's been.
Right, because currently they are selling temporary 1-day passes at the transfer station. It was an oversight on the part of the Ordinance Review Committee.
All right, Mr. Moran, you want to amend to include
I'd like
issuing of the
to amend the
permits?
motion to include that 1-day permits may also be purchased at the transfer station, not only tax office.
Very well. John Rice, you want to second that amendment?
Yes, I will. I'll second that amendment.
Okay, all those in favor of inserting this amendment, please signify by saying aye. Those
Aye.
opposed signify by saying no. Ms. Bashan, can we have a Zoom vote on amending this proposal? Are the votes in?
Are we voting on amending the motion or voting on the motion itself, please?
Voting on amending the motion.
Oh, so,
That's not what that's what we see as a Zoom participant.
Well, how can we clarify that? Let's call upon our technical experts.
And I apologize, that's Steve Herbert, 122 Wilsonville Road.
Right, Steve. Your
Thank you,
point is
Steve.
well taken.
So technically, Frank, there was a motion on the floor initially. Do we revoke that motion,
There's a motion on the floor
the
to
initial one?
adopt this ordinance, and Mr. Moran has moved to amend that motion by inserting issuance of permits at an additional location.
So we want to amend potentially, go ahead, Suzanne.
So he revoked his initial motion. Then you can't have a motion on the floor and make another motion.
There is a motion to amend the motion that was on the floor.
But we already had a motion in place, and you can't have a motion and then make another motion. You have to.
There is a
So
motion
he's
to-
going to need to take back his initial motion.
I think maybe we need to vote down the initial motion.
St. Ange, you are recognized.
Yes, I made the motion, I will take back my motion to Ben.
And now Mr. Rice will need to take back his second.
Got to take back a second.
John Rice will take back that second.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Now Rainey can make his motion,
So we'll make a motion specifically on the one.
and then we can actually vote on it.
Right.
As amended.
So we would need a question for the virtual audience about amending ordinance number 10-021. Correct?
I think, Amy, actually, if
No.
Rainey makes the motion and then states with the amendment
Oh, okay.
in it.
Let me.
Does that sound right, Ken Slater?
Let me refer this to Attorney Slater,
Since
if I
he's
may.
here.
Attorney Slater, can you weigh in on this one?
I can. There really would be two alternatives. One would have been to go ahead and proceed on the amendment that was made before. But obviously, there's a technical issue there. If it weren't for the technical issue, the amendment that was made, that vote could have been, that vote would have happened. And then if it passed, then the main question would have been amended. Now, the main question has been withdrawn. If the main motion, I think it would be clear now, if the person who makes the motion asks that it be, that the proposed amendment be adopted and state what the amendment is, that is seconded. I think, in my view, and if it's true in the view of the moderator, if everybody votes on the question that was placed in the virtual, which is to adopt the ordinance, I think the audience will understand that what they're approving would be the ordinance as amended in the motion itself. So in the single motion, if that can be stated, the change, in my view, if the moderator agrees, the single question that says, shall the ordinance be adopted, could be answered by the audience, and that would be sufficient.
Thank you, Counselor. Goes without saying, the moderator agrees. Mr. Moran, how would you like that ordinance to read?
I would like that ordinance to be amended from the way it was presented to include, after tax collector's office, to include and the transfer station.
Fine. Does the Assistant Town Clerk have the wording?
Yes, I do.
Good. John Rice, would you like to second that one?
Yes, I will. John Rice.
Very good. Is there any further discussion?
Excuse me,
Yeah.
can you reiterate the motion? Are we making a motion to approve number 4
Yeah.
in its entirety
Right.
with
Nope.
the amendment?
Right.
Yes,
Okay, just for clarification, I wanted to make
Yes.
sure I understood the motion.
correct.
And Steve Herbert has his hand up.
Mr. Herbert?
Steve Herbert, 122 Wilsonville Road. I wondered if you might recap, there's 3 ordinances I think we're actually voting on. I wonder if
Yeah.
someone could just recap the 3, what each of them is either changing or doing.
Be happy to, Mr. Herbert.
Would you like me?
Mrs. St. Ange, would you do that for us, please?
Okay, the 3 ordinances that are proposed with changes is ordinance number 10-048, the Veterans Tax Exemption. It was brought to our attention by our new assessor, Paul Hopkins, that the incorrect Connecticut General Statute was listed in the ordinance. It had said 12-81, and then in parentheses, it said the number 1, and that was supposed to be the letter L. So that's the only change in that ordinance. In the driveway ordinance, there are several cases where the Board of Selectmen or the board, without any reference to which board, was referenced, and that was changed to Building Department. And there were sections that were changed to the DPW director because ultimately driveway ordinances are put through the building office, and the DPW director has the power to approve driveways. So those small changes were made throughout that ordinance, and that was ordinance number 10-053. And then in the garbage, rubbish, refuse, and recycling ordinance, there are certain things that the transfer station no longer accepts. That was straight taken out of the ordinance. And it was referred to the transfer station pamphlet, which lists out everything that currently is being taken at the transfer station. And additionally, the Public Works Director was listed as the one who was authorized to enact various regulations related to the transfer station. And those were the changes. They were minor housekeeping issues as determined by the Board of Selectmen a few weeks back.
Thank you, Mrs. St. Ange. Mr.
You're
Herbert,
welcome.
does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you very, very much.
Very welcome. Any further discussion on this motion? Are we ready to vote? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed signify by saying no.
That same question that I had posed to you. Yes.
Are we proceeding with the Zoom vote?
Yep.
Great. Are the votes in? The vote is 100% in favor, and the chair declares this motion passed. Item 5. Appropriate $200,000 in defense of a lawsuit. We have a motion to that effect. Motion from the
Mr.
floor.
Stevens, make that motion.
Mr. Witkowski, Clarence Drive, moves adoption. Do we have a second?
This is Steve Herbert. I'll second that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Herbert.
122 Wilsonville Road.
We're open for discussion. Mr. Brissette, Whittemore Avenue.
Oh, Sean, could you come to the microphone so the virtual audience can actually hear you? Sorry about that.
So my question
Oh,
with this.
state your name again and your
Sean
address.
Brissette, Whittemore Ave. My question with this is, I was on the water pollution control when this all started, and we were guaranteed over and over and over again by Marinopolis that this would not cost the Thompson taxpayers a dime, that they were going to take all responsibility for fees and repaying of loans and everything until it went sideways. And it seems to me that they just said, have a nice day. I'm curious why Thompson taxpayers are footing a bill for a lawsuit for something for a private entity that we were good neighbors to.
Anyone care to address that question?
Ken Slater, could you address that? Did you hear his question?
Attorney Slater?
Oops, you have to unmute. There we go.
Yes, I heard the question. The lawsuit was filed against the town. Marionopolis did there was a guarantee in place for bond money that came from the U.S. government, and they are on the hook for the entirety of the bond money. But the town of Thompson was the named party to the suit. So this isn't about any remedy, any result between the town and Marionopolis School. It's just the reality is that right now the town is a defendant, and there was money available that also came from USDA grant money that was used for the defense of the lawsuit. And I'm not handling the defense, but I'm familiar with it and I'm monitoring it. The attorney that represents the town in that is a gentleman named Brian Donnell. The case is in some settlement discussions, but the town, in my view, doesn't have any choice but to defend itself. So for the time being, the appropriation is just to enable the town to pay its legal bills to its attorney. To the extent that there's any any claims between the town and Marionopolis, that's another matter. It's not the defense of this litigation. And as an aside, my understanding is, and I'm not saying that how things will resolve itself with Marionopolis, but they are not only are they not a party, but they also, as I understand it, are financially strapped right now. So this is a short-term, I think, necessity, because if you do not defend yourself, then orders can be issued against the town, and you could be left with a big judgment against you. So this is just something so that you can continue your defense and possibly settle the litigation that has been brought by the contractor. For folks that on the line that don't know much of the details, it's the contractor that was hired to perform the work. The town of Thompson can be subject to an order by DEEP. So there was some joint value of having this system brought to Marionopolis, but it was primarily for Marionopolis, and they are standing behind the bond. But no one expected some unforeseen circumstances associated with the drilling. So it should have all gone, the job should have long been done. And then Marionopolis would be paying the bond money off, and the town of Thompson wouldn't have spent a nickel on it. And for much of the litigation, the town did not spend a nickel on it. It was until that USDA money ran out that now there's an estimate by the town attorney, the attorney that's representing the town in the construction litigation, of what it would cost to continue on in the defense, projecting it down the road. Our hope is actually that it gets resolved sooner by way of a settlement. Can't discuss any details of that, but I'm hoping that only a fraction of the amount that you'll appropriate will ultimately be needed to resolve the litigation. But it needs to be approved in order to give the Board of Selectmen the ability to settle. And if it doesn't settle, to pay the attorneys that it's obligated to pay because it's a defendant in the litigation.
Thank you, Counselor. Mr. Brissette?
Okay, so essentially, I understand the town was the facilitator in the grants, and I understand all that, and that's why it's a town lawsuit. But at the end of the day, the town is, I believe we have already spent money on this lawsuit. Is that correct?
Go
I would-
ahead.
A certain amount, but like Attorney Slater said, some of that came from the USDA funds.
Now, I understand that we have to defend our interest. I get that. That's the first step. But at some point, as a resident, I certainly hope the town considers dealing with Marionopolis on this money, because again, time in and time out, they guaranteed no town money would be spent. Now, I get that they didn't foresee this, but it was a major construction project that anything could have gone wrong with. And now, again, it looks like we're just being left on the hook for this litigation. Also, considering the fact that you had, I'm sure hundreds of thousands of dollars in engineering fees and architect fees and a very big contractor, how the town would end up being out any money on this is beyond me. You either have an engineer that screwed up or you have a contractor that screwed up. It's pretty simple. So hopefully going through, settlement doesn't mean everybody's off scot-free and the town ends up with a $200,000 or $300,000 or $400,000 bill. Either way, I don't care if it's 10 grand. We were told we weren't going to spend money on this, and I don't think we should be spending money on this. I understand having to put it up front, but at some point, Marionopolis has to be held accountable. They got a really nice track. They got a lot of things they're spending money on. They might be cash strapped today, but they haven't been cash strapped for years. So I think at some point, the town's got to get their money back.
Thank you, Mr. Brissette. Anyone else want to speak on this issue?
Can I speak on that?
Yes?
State your name and your address.
David Ford, 200 Porter Plain Road.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Mr. Ford.
I guess this question would actually go to our attorney at this point, because obviously I can understand exactly what Sean's saying right now. We're on the hook for something that really our kind deeds are kind of biting us. And I understand legally we are entitled to obviously defense because this is something that has to be handled. But is there any way we can take any action against Marionopolis for this? in the future? Because now all the townspeople are looking at this saying, this is costing us money, and we can continuously see anything could happen at this point, and it could cost the town even more money. So is there a way that we can put Marionopolis at responsibility for this action? That would be my question at this point.
Attorney Slater, would you like to address that?
I would, but I'm going to warn you that I'm going to be a bit evasive, and that is that providing legal advice in the, and I, you are decision makers for the town, so I appreciate you wanting to an answer to that question. What I'm not comfortable in is really being able to lay out, you know, the likelihood of success or not likelihood of success. What I could tell you is that we would be advising, what I'd like to tell you, and hopefully it's satisfactory to you, is that we'd be advising the Board of Selectmen in terms of the remedy it might have against the school, the likelihood of success of recovering, let's just say for the sake of argument, this case settles and the town spends some money on the settlement. I would advise the Board of Selectmen of what rights they'd have against Marionopolis, what it would likely cost, what the risks would be. And then if the board, if for example, I recommended that the town, that we sue, there needs to be funds available for that, or the matter would come back before this body, the town meeting, to appropriate funds to sue Marionopolis. So we will absolutely be looking at what rights and remedies you might have against Marionopolis. And I have the ability to go into executive session with the Board of Selectmen and sort of let our hair down and get the legal advice that way. So what I would hope is that you could trust the Board of Selectmen and trust that the town attorney will be advising the Board of Selectmen, and they'll be looking at that. And I promise you, any alternatives involving the school will be looked at. But rather than air it all out in detail now, that we do that through the Board of Selectmen and through the ability of going into executive discussion session to discuss those options regarding the school.
Okay, I appreciate that on that. Like I said, the big thing behind it is as a,
Mr. Ford is on again? Is this David Ford?
yes, it is.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Ford.
Yeah. Our big thing is taxpayers, when something like this arises, it kind of puts a sour taste in people's mouths. So that would be the big thing, I think, as a taxpayer, just to make sure that we have some kind of recourse when, you know, future going on when things happen. So thank you for answering that.
My pleasure.
Anything else on this motion? We ready to vote? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed signify by saying no. May we have the Zoom poll taken, Ms. Bashan? The result from the Zoom poll is 79% in favor, 21% opposed. The motion is carried. We'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Mr.
Mr.
Chairman.
Moran moves for adjournment. Do we have a second? Mr. Witkowski, motion to adjourn. All those in favor of adjourning signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed signify by saying no. Motion is carried. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.